Controversial writing opinion time. Sometimes your villain should demolish the protagonist. And I don't mean in the final climax, where they get their comeuppance 5 minutes later. I mean they should win, walk away victorious, and leave your hero and your readers reeling. Now, before you click away, thinking that I've lost my mind, hear me out. Because when done right, letting your villain win can be one of the most powerful tools in your storytelling arsenal. Hi, I'm Rebecca, and this is Rebecca's Writing and Ramblings, and today I'm going to be railing about villains and why they should win. Sometimes. Not every time, because that would just get predictable. And here's the thing. Readers are secretly, or kind of less secretly nowadays, fascinated by competent villains. We love to hate them, but we also love to watch them succeed, especially when they're clever about it. It scratches that weird, dark itch we all have, where we want to see the underdog win, even when the underdog is technically the bad guy. But here's the catch. You can't just hand your villain a victory. It has to be earned. It has to hurt, and it has to serve the story. So, let's walk through my 5-point checklist for when and how to let your villain win. Step 1 is they have to earn the win. They can't just have a lucky thing happen. First, the villain has to actually earn their victory. This isn't about luck or random chance. Your villain needs to outsmart the villain using their strengths. Think about it. Your villain is a master manipulator. They shouldn't win by brute force. They should win by getting inside the hero's head. If they're a strategic genius, they should win by being 3 steps ahead. For example, let's say your villain studies the hero's loneliness and uses fake vulnerability to gain their trust. For example, in my current work in progress, there's a character named Jasper who is the most precious, friendly thing ever, and he believes when the villain cries about how awful life is, and so Jasper believes that they need help. It's not because villains are lucky, it's because they learned about Jasper and realized that he could be manipulated by being pitiful. The second step of this is that it has to hurt emotionally. It can't just be a plot. The victory can't just be a plot setback. It has to hit the protagonist where it hurts them most. Their emotional core, their deepest fear, or their biggest flaw. This is where you can really twist the knife. Your villain doesn't just steal magical artifact. They knock the hero's dead mentor while they're doing it. They don't just win. They make the hero question everything they believe about themselves. And bonus points if the hero's own actions contribute to their downfall. There's something deliciously tragic about a character's greatest strength becoming their biggest weakness. For example, in Shadow Tales, there's a moment when Tana accidentally gives the villain, who happens to be her dad, an advantage because she's so convinced that nobody's on her side, she pushes her allies away. So in that way, Tana contributes to the shit that happens in that book. Won't say anymore because that's the book I got stuck on and shelved for a while. So that actually might not happen anymore. Well, who knows? Anyway, the next one is it needs to complicate things but not stall them out. Sorry. This isn't supposed to be a moment where you're just buying time until the real climax. This victory should create new problems, reveal hidden truths, or force your character into impossible situations. Maybe the villain's win forces your hero to team up with someone they hate. Maybe it reveals information that changes everything. Like when the villain burns down the library only to discover a secret they didn't even know they knew was hidden there. Oops. The key is that the story becomes more complex after the villain wins, not less complex. Your characters should face new dilemmas, not just pick up where they left off. Also, the readers should almost cheer. This is the tricky part. Readers should want to cheer for the villain, but then they should probably feel guilty about it. Or maybe not. I wouldn't feel guilty. You felt so in this, your villain's victory feels deserved. So maybe your hero was being arrogant, stubborn, naive. Maybe they ignored good advice and made a stupid decision. So when the villain outsmarts them, your reader thinks, they kind of had this coming. The villain's competence should be genuinely impressive. Readers love watching someone do what they're really good at, even if what they do is terrible. When a villain executes a flawless plan that humiliates the hero in public, there's this uncomfortable moment where you're like, okay, that was pretty brilliant. Blech. Okay, that was pretty brilliant. But then guilt kicks in. Because you're rooting for the bad guy, and that emotional complexity is exactly what you want. Also, the last thing is, there should be a hidden cost. Every villain victory should come with a hidden price tag. There should be immediate or long-term side effects. And it should always be something the villain didn't anticipate. Maybe their triumph makes them overconfident, setting them up to eventually fail. Maybe winning changes them in ways they didn't expect. They become paranoid, or lonely, or bored, now that they've basically achieved what they wanted. One of my favorite examples of this is when the villain finally breaks the hero spirit, only to realize that they missed the challenge. They missed those trusting eyes, the naive hope. They got what they wanted, but it cost them the very thing that made victory meaningful. This hidden cost doesn't have to be their ultimate undoing, but it should add layers to both the victory and the character. So, how do you actually implement this? Well, start by asking yourself, what would hurt your protagonist the most? Not physically, emotionally. What would shake their worldview? What would make them question everything? Then, figure out how your villain, using their specific skills and knowledge, can make that happen. The victory should feel personal, earned, and inevitable. Remember, this isn't about being grimdark or depressing. It's about creating genuine stakes and emotional investment. When your villain wins, it should make your readers desperate to see how your protagonist will respond. The best stories aren't about heroes who never lose. They're about heroes who lose, learn, and find a way to keep fighting anyway. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let your villain win, so that your hero can show us what they're really made of. What do you think? Have you ever let your villain win? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about your favorite villain victories, whether you've written them or read them. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to see more from me. I post new videos once a week, and I will see you all very soon with the new one. Bye.